watching the star seem to be getting larger and brighter.
Every time someone stops believing in little people like her, a little person dies.
Ever heard someone say they're not just from another country, but from another planet? Sounds like some science fiction, right? But there are some real people who make such out-of-this-world claims.
For more than 20 years, how has he convinced these followers?
They make up wild tales of alien encounters and cosmic origins. Today, I've put together an amazing list of such people just for you. So, let's get started. Number 1, boy from Mars. What would you do if your child suddenly claimed they were a Martian in a past life? That's exactly what happened to Boriska Kiprianovich's parents in Russia. Their child claimed that he was a Martian in his past life and was sent to the Earth on a mission. Boriska Kiprianovich was from Volgograd, Russia. He was born on January 11th, 1996. He calls himself an indigo child and says he lived on Mars before being reborn on Earth. But why is he here? To warn us about a potential nuclear disaster. Kiprianovich first caught attention at 11 with a viral video detailing his past life as a Martian pilot and his fears of Earth facing a similar fate. Recently, Boriska and his mother have disappeared, and attempts to find them have been unsuccessful. Has he returned to his home planet, possibly taking his human mother with him? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Number 2, man from Taured. Japan is no stranger to peculiar events, but one incident from July 1954 left many confused. An unusual traveler arrived at Haneda Airport. He appeared to be an ordinary passenger. However, when officials examined his passport, they were quite confused. The passport was issued by a country that did not exist on any known maps or official records. The language in the passport was also unfamiliar and unrecognizable. To top it all off, the passport bore stamps from various countries, suggesting that the man had traveled internationally using this document before. The traveler was promptly detained and placed in a hotel room for further investigation. Yet things took an even stranger turn when the man and all his belongings mysteriously vanished from the room. What do you think? Was he a time traveler from a parallel universe or an alien? Number 3, Betty and Barney Hill. This poor couple had their honeymoon turned upside down by an unexpected alien encounter. On their way back from their honeymoon, they saw something strange in the sky. It was an object with flashing lights that was spinning erratically. Barney didn't believe in UFOs, but when he looked closer, he was terrified to see figures in uniforms inside the saucer. Panicked, they tried to drive away, but soon heard strange beeping sounds and felt disoriented. After the encounter, they noticed that their clothes and car were damaged. In search of answers, they turned to hypnosis. Under hypnosis, they revealed that they had been taken by gray-skinned aliens who examined them before letting them go. At least they got a heck of a story out of it. Number 4, Nina Kulagina. Nina Kulagina is a famous name in the world of psychics. She became well known in the 1960s, thanks to some black and white films. It wasn't for her looks or acting, but because she could move objects with her mind. Yes, catch up, people. She claimed to have psychic powers. In the films, she was shown moving things with her mind under strict conditions set by officials. Some people thought her abilities were just tricks, while others believed she had real, supernatural powers. What do you think? It sounds pretty legit to me. Number 5, Gil Perez. Can you imagine going to sleep in the Philippines and waking up in Mexico City? That's exactly what happened to Gil Perez. In October 1593, Gil Perez was a Spanish soldier stationed in the Philippines. One day, he suddenly found himself in Mexico City. To make things even stranger, he appeared in Mexico's Plaza Meier, still wearing his uniform.
Perez refused to accept it, claiming that he had gotten his instructions in Manila on the morning of October 23rd and that it was thus impossible for him to be in Mexico City on the evening of October 24th.
He was arrested because he knew about the death of Governor Gomez Perez das Marinas in the Philippines. This news hadn't yet reached Mexico because communication was slower back then. He was released once the news caught up and the truth was confirmed. Some people thought his sudden travel was due to extraterrestrial beings. Luckily, he wasn't a woman, or he might have been accused of witchcraft and faced much worse. Number 6. Marshall Applewhite. This creepy-looking man and his friend started a cult called Heaven's Gate. They claimed to be walk-ins, which they said were higher beings who had taken over the bodies of middle-aged men to spread their message and teach humanity. And shockingly, people believed them. Followers gave up their possessions and lives because they were convinced that Earth was going to be recycled, and the only way to save themselves was to leave.
For more than 20 years, how has he convinced these followers he can lead them through the gates of heaven?
In March 1997, Applewhite convinced his followers to end their lives so their souls could join a spacecraft traveling to the comet Hale-Bopp. Over a few days, all 39 members of the cult, including Marshall Applewhite, took their lives. Now you can see why I called him creepy. Number 7. George Van Tassel. In 1947, George moved to a place called Giant Rock near Landers in the Mojave Desert, California. There, he set up a UFO center and started a UFO-based religion. By 1952, George claimed he was getting messages from an extraterrestrial being named Ashtar through telepathic communication. But that wasn't all. He also said he was receiving messages from people who had passed away, like Nikola Tesla, the famous alien himself. Oddly enough, he also claimed that Jesus was an alien. When asked how he communicated with these beings, he explained it was a mix of advanced alien technology and meditation. According to him, not everyone could use this method. He was just special. Number 8. Elizabeth Clara. Next up is Elizabeth Clara, and she has quite a story to share. In the 1950s, Elizabeth claimed she fell in love with an alien named Akon and even had a child with him. Her first encounter with Akon's spaceship happened in 1956 on a hilltop. Akon was apparently quite the romantic. He took her aboard his spaceship and told her they were meant to be together forever. He also mentioned that her roots were connected to Venus. They had a child together whom they named Ayeling. But the story doesn't stop there. Elizabeth also claimed that in 1959, she visited Akon's home planet, Meton.
At one point, he gave her a silver ring, which he said helped connect them telepathically.
If you're curious about her story, you can check out her book, Beyond the Light Barrier. Number 9. Alex Collier. Unlike many other UFO stories, Collier's accounts are a bit controversial in the UFO community. He says he had extensive encounters with extraterrestrials from the Andromeda galaxy. His first meeting with these beings, whom he calls the Andromedans, happened in 1964 when he was still a child. However, it was in 1989 that he reported a life-changing experience. According to Collier, he spent 92 days on an Andromedan mothership, but this 92-day period was in alien time, so it only felt like 18 minutes on Earth. Collier was really impressed by his experience. I mean, who wouldn't be? Spending 92 days on a fascinating alien ship with completely different physical laws. Sign me up. Number 10. L. Ron Hubbard. Scientology is a set of beliefs and practices created by L. Ron Hubbard. He was the leader of the Church of Scientology, which is otherwise also known as a cult. This group believes that humans are immortal beings and that our bodies are just temporary vessels for us. According to their beliefs, before taking on these gorgeous human bodies, our souls belonged to higher extraterrestrial beings. However, you can only learn more about these ideas after spending thousands of dollars with the church. Not quite fair, is it? Number 11. Space Elf. As if dealing with humans wasn't enough, now we also have to deal with someone who wants to become a space elf. And this man is not elfing around. If you didn't know, space elves are actually genetically modified humans who live their whole lives in space and avoid stepping on planets. He is seriously committed to looking like a space elf and has undergone several surgeries to achieve his desired appearance. He's even looking for more procedures to perfect his look. To each their own, I suppose. What do you think? Number 12. Vinnie O. Speaking of perfecting one's look, there's Vinnie O. This guy are also on a quest for perfection Vinnie wants to look like an alien and has spent thousands of dollars on cosmetic procedures to achieve this appearance. He has even tried to remove his genitals to become completely sexless. At least he isn't running a cult, right? Number 13. Dorothy Martin. In the mid-20th century, Dorothy Martin, also known as Sister Thedra, led a group called the Brotherhood of the Seven Rays. This group was part of a UFO religion. She believed that a UFO would come to save everyone from a disaster on December 21st, 1954. However, many people left the group when the UFO didn't show up. Some followers continued to believe and hoped the UFO might arrive by the time Christmas Eve rolled around, but when it failed to show up again, most of the remaining members abandoned the group and its beliefs. Number 14. Pharaoh Akhenaten. When you think of Egypt, you probably think of the pyramids, the pharaohs, and the desert, right? However, there are also rumors that ancient Egypt might have had some connection to extraterrestrials, and the story of Pharaoh Akhenaten only fuels these rumors. Akhenaten looked quite different from other pharaohs. Instead of having the typical perfect figure, he had a long head and an unusually shaped body. Some suggest that his unusual appearance might mean he came from somewhere beyond Earth, maybe even the stars. Number 15. Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick is best known for his science fiction novels, and his stories seem to reflect events from his personal experiences.
The concepts and themes in his works include questioning the nature of reality and perception, what it means to be human.
In the 1970s, Brad Steger reported that Philip had written to him and suggested that he might be a star person. A star person is a term for an alien-human hybrid, though Steger has updated this old idea for modern times. Maybe Philip being a star person helps explain the deep philosophical themes in his writing. Number 16. Calvin Parker. In October 1973, Calvin Parker and his friend experienced something out of this world. Literally, they claimed they were abducted by extraterrestrial beings while fishing near Pascagoula, Mississippi. The police questioned them separately to spot any inconsistencies in their stories. Later, they were left alone in a room while the authorities secretly watched them. What the authorities saw during their conversation helped make their story seem more credible. The friends talked about their encounter and the fear they felt, which seemed genuine. Many researchers and investigators, including Dr. J. Allen Hynek and Dr. James Harter, took an interest in their stories. They interviewed and hypnotized Parker and his friend. However, the constant media attention took a toll on Parker. Eventually, he had to change his name to escape the spotlight and move on with his life. Number 17. King Tut. Here's another pharaoh with a possible connection to extraterrestrials. Did you know that King Tutankhamun had a space dagger? This dagger and other artifacts were found in his tomb in 1925. But why is it called a space dagger? It's because the metal used to make it doesn't come from Earth. It comes from a meteorite. This means it's a piece of a star that was present in ancient Egypt.
So in 2016, they studied King Tut's dagger and discovered that it was likely to be made out of meteorite iron.
What's even cooler is that this dagger was made long before Egypt started using iron for weapons. The craftsmanship of the dagger is also quite unique. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to have a space dagger. How awesome would that be? Number 18. Unarius. Ernest Norman and his wife Ruth are the founders of Unarius. Unarius is an acronym for Universal Articulate Interdimensional Understanding of Science. This group has some pretty unique beliefs. They think the soul is immortal and everyone has been reincarnated many times. They also believe that our solar system used to be home to an interplanetary civilization. Number 19. Billy Meier. Billy Meier's encounters with aliens started when he was 5. His first alien friend was named Svarth. He was an elderly Plejaren who could communicate with Billy telepathically. Svarth even took young Billy on rides in his pear-shaped spaceship. After Svarth passed away in 1953, Billy began communicating with another extraterrestrial named Asket, though she wasn't Plejaren. All contact stopped in 1964, but resumed on January 28th. Billy claimed not only to have been in contact with aliens, but also to have traveled through time and witnessed important historical events with his own eyes. Lucky guy, right? Number 20, Peter Faust. Peter Faust is another person who claims to have been abducted by aliens. In 1988, when he was 33 years old, Faust recalled an early memory from when he was just 8. He describes his abductors as large creatures with pear-shaped heads and almond-shaped eyes. To help make sense of these memories, Faust turned to psychiatrist Dr. John Mack. Using relaxation techniques, they were able to help Faust recall the encounter in greater detail. Number 21. Simon Parkes. Simon Parkes is a local councillor from Whitby on the Yorkshire coast who attracted considerable attention with his claim. Parkes says a 9-foot-tall green alien adopted him as a baby and told him she was his real, more important mother. When he was 11, she allegedly took him aboard her spacecraft and made a deal for contact between their worlds. There are several videos where Parkes explains his experiences calmly and in detail. Number 22. Travis Walton. In November of 1975, American forestry worker Travis Walton was allegedly abducted by aliens in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forests, Arizona. Many view it as a hoax, and you'll soon know why. Walton was working with his future brother-in-law, Mike Rogers, who admitted the job was delayed. After watching a film about alien abductions, Walton talked about the possibility of being taken by a UFO. On November 5th, Walton disappeared. After walking into the forest towards a light, he reappeared 5 days later. Coincidence? We think not. Some suggest the incident might have been staged to avoid penalties for missing a contract deadline. Researchers also think a fire lookout tower's spotlight might have created the UFO illusion. How much of this story is true or not? We'll leave it up to you to decide. Number 23. Dean Lindsay. In June 1936, Dean Lindsay made a rather unusual claim. He said he owned all extraterrestrial objects. It was the first time anyone had ever proposed such an idea. Lindsay took his claim to a Pittsburgh notary, offering a substantial sum of money to formalize the purchase of extraterrestrial objects. This odd move drew significant public attention. Despite the originality of his idea, it had no legal standing. Number 24. Alien Mother. Alice Haggerty believes that aliens are abducting her unborn children. She says that she would go to sleep pregnant and then wake up without being pregnant anymore. She's convinced that her baby is alive somewhere in space. How does she know this? She claims that during one of her supposed trips to space, she saw hundreds of hybrid babies.
I had to put my hand on this cylinder coming up out of the floor or whatever, and I could feel all my energy draining into this.
According to her, these babies were smaller than normal. She also says that these babies seemed much more intelligent than she could ever be. Number 25. George Adamski. To this day, George Adamski remains one of the most intriguing and controversial figures in UFO history. Starting in the late 1940s, Adamski claimed to have photographed flying saucers. In 1952, he reported a meeting with a Venusian in a California desert. They communicated through hand gestures and telepathy. Adamski wrote several books about his experiences, starting with Flying Saucers Have Landed, which detailed his encounter with the Venusian. His 1955 sequel, Inside the Spaceships, described further meetings with aliens from Mars, Saturn, and even the dark side of the moon. Number 26. Claude Maurice Marcel. Claude Maurice Marcel Vaurillon is a French journalist who started the Raelian movement. It is a UFO-based religion. In December 1973, after claiming to have met an alien named Yahweh, he changed his name to Rael and created the Raelian movement. He spent over 30 years traveling the world to promote his books about his alien encounter and his teachings. Number 27. Ashtar Galactic Command. The Ashtar Galactic Command is a group that's been sharing space messages with people for a long time. It all began with George Van Tassel in 1952. At first, Their messages focused on encouraging science. Things went smoothly until their messages took a spiritual turn. They started sounding more like teachings from spiritual leaders.
In the 1950s and 1960s, they were more focused on the physical arrival of extraterrestrial spacecraft to assist humans.
Although the Ashtar Galactic Command isn't seen as very credible today, they still have dedicated followers. Number 28, Nostradamus. Nostradamus was a 16th century French astrologer and physician, famous for his prophecies. His book, The Prophecies, was published in 1555.
The book is considered one of the greatest works of prophecy in human history.
It contains predictions that many believe have foretold significant historical events, including the French Revolution, the rise of Hitler, the 9/11 attacks, and even the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. Despite some controversy and claims of madness or devil worship, he maintained a good relationship with the Vatican and became a renowned figure of the Renaissance. Number 29. Omnek Onek. Omnek Onek is a woman who claims to be an extraterrestrial from Venus. She says she arrived on Earth in the 1950s with a mission to spread a message of peace and enlightenment. In her book, From Venus I Come, she describes her journey from Venus to Earth and provides detailed accounts of her advanced home planet and its sophisticated technology. She also discusses her observations of human technology and social behaviors. Her book offers a glimpse into what she describes as a highly advanced alien society. It remains unclear whether her account is a mix of fantasy and reality or something more. Number 30, Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley, known as the wickedest man alive and the Beast, was a prominent early 20th century English occultist. His controversial lifestyle and occult practices led to rumors of Satanism and human sacrifice. In Egypt, Crowley claimed to be contacted by a supernatural entity named Iwas. The entity gave him a sacred text, the Book of the Law. This formed the basis of his religion, Thelema. The core principle of Thelema is, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Crowley explained this as encouraging people to follow their true destiny rather than indulging in trivial desires. Number 31. Apollome Mandylion. Mandylion is a psychic who claims to have extraterrestrial heritage. She believes that her alien background gives her special abilities to communicate with otherworldly beings and access greater knowledge about the universe. She frequently shares stories about her encounters with alien entities, seeing herself as a bridge between Earth and the cosmos due to her unique ancestry. Her accounts are filled with mysterious encounters and cosmic revelations that capture the imagination of those interested in alien contact. Despite her confidence in her abilities, her claims remain unverified. Number 32. Valiant Thor. Have you ever heard of Valiant Thor? His story is quite extraordinary and dates back to 1957. Valiant Thor claimed to be from Venus and said he landed on Earth on a mission. According to Thor, his purpose on Earth was to share wisdom and warn humanity about the dangers of the Cold War. He even had serious meetings at the Pentagon and spoke with President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon, offering advice on achieving world peace. So, how did we hear about this story? It was due to Dr. Frank Stranges, who met Thor in 1959. Thor gave Dr. Stranges a piece of cloth from his home planet to prove he was from space. Number 33. The Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor, also known as Huang Di, or the Son of Heaven, is a pivotal figure in Chinese history. His contributions date back to around 2700 BCE and include significant advancements in technology, science, and astronomy. His achievements have intrigued both historians and mythologists for centuries. In ancient China, emperors like Huang Di were often regarded as divine beings with celestial powers. Number 34. Andrew Basiago. Andrew Basiago claims to be a time traveler with connections to extraterrestrial beings. Basiago describes his life as something out of a spy alien movie. His adventures supposedly include traveling through time on secret government projects and meeting aliens. He even thinks these extraordinary experiences might hint at his alien background. While his stories are certainly fun, they remain largely unverified. So, how did you like today's video? Which one of these stories seemed the most believable? Comment down below and let us know. See you next time. Goodbye.